Hello everyone, Lit here. In today's video I want to talk about the build that I have been playing for a while, and this is CoC DD. The build has been very popular this league, probably going to get nerfed next league, judging like how powerful it is, but yeah. The first thing first, one question that probably a lot of people are going to ask is why Scion and not Inquisitor? It's because I do not want to level new characters, and that's that. So if you do not mind level new characters, in my opinion, Inquisitor is a perfect fit for the build. But in today's video, I would cover the Scion versions of it. I think it's not that bad. And let's talk about how I solved the problem from changing the ascendancy. The first problem that I have is Pirate's Path and Sanctuary. So basically in Inquisitor, if you guys ever play Inquisitor with Sanctuary and Pirate's Path basically have like insane amount of regen. And this is very important because in CoC DD, you will cast a lot of DD. Like in this one, you can see the trigger rate is 10 per second. So you're going to need a lot of region for it, and this is the reason why they're using Edge Battery. So Edge Battery with combinations of ton of life regions with convert into ton of energy shield regions, you will have enough basically mana to cast all the DT. So how are we going to solve this? This is basically using a Trickster Ascendancy over here, and the most important line is the 2% of damage leads as energy shield. And also I'm taking Leech Mastery here, which make the 10% of the Leech each instance. And also there's a little bit mana gain on hit and life gain on hit. So the recovery basically coming from Lich, and with the combination of reducing mana costs, I able to sustain all the necessary component to cast all the DT, because it does require quite a lot. So for the life mastery over here, we get a 30% reduced mana cost convert to life. And the other one is from the ring. There's a non-challenge skill have -8 total mana cost, and the last one is from the Watcher Eyes, is -10 to mana cost 2, while we are using Clarity. The Clarity itself is all you need is level 1. This is basically just to meet the requirement for Watcher side. For the mana cost, this is how I solve it, and there is also another setup where I'm not using EB. This is for a map mod on T17 that says less defense, that basically don't have energy shield, so anyone who are using EB won't be able to run that mod. I can take off EB and basically put one node here. Based on my experience on T17, I still can run it with this setup, so I do not actually need the EB. But having EB meaning I'm also able to use different blessings setup, because this different blessing is not exactly important. Like if I remove the haste over here, you can see that the difference in terms of damage is not really that big. This is more like a quality of life things, and if you do not need that one, you can take off the EP and put in here, and you basically can use your energy shield as defensive layer too, because it's going to cover your life. And the next problem is Reckless Providence. This basically make Inquisitor have a lot of crit chance. At first, I'm trying to solve this using Assassins, and this basically give you 0.75 critical strike chance. This is not big, but I mean it helps. The most important part is a 10% chance to get pot shots on critical strike, and this is basically what I did early on when I cannot reach enough crit. Basically, I'm taking this using a Forbidden Jewel, but of course you will have to sacrifice 2 slots for the Adorn. The damage itself is fine. The Assassin Node and Power Charges will make up for it, but the loss of life is the one that I problem. Early on, I run with like 4,000 life. I don't have that much life. But that's how early on I try to solve it, but now I have enough investment, so I don't have to do that anymore. So the way I do it is using 2 medium cluster over here. This giving a lot of crit chance, and this not also give a lot of DPS. So this one is like 6.4%, and this one is like 4.6%. So I'm using 2 medium cluster for crit. And because this is also a Adorn setup, and for the Adorn, you do not need to start with 149. Early on, when I'm starting this setup, I'm using 120%. And I have 2 jewel here that increase critical strike chance, and the other one is over here. The corrupted blood immunity is kind of nice, but I don't really need it because we are still using the flash, different flash for it, so this one can cover for your corrupted blood. And for the flash, for the suffix, you really need the 35% chance to get a flash charge when you deal a critical strike chance, because that's how you sustain your life flash. And also the reason why I'm using still using life flash is also because we do not have that much recovery. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm covering with Leech. The problem with Leech is you are fine when you are on like combat. Like if you have enemy you can hit, you are fine. You're more than fine. But the problem arises when you do not have enemy to hit. Let's say that you have dot on you and you kill your enemy, then you have nothing to leech on, and you won't have any recovery. And especially trying to mitigate that part is not happen too often, but it can happen. So having a life charge for me is always nice. That's how I solve the crit chance. And if you see over here, the lancing still of spraying, I'm at 99%, and how I will reach 100% is by basically trying to utilize the Adorn. And a lot of my jewel don't have implicit, so the plan is like this one that don't have implicit, this one don't have implicit, this one also don't have implicit, this one also don't have implicit. So the idea, if I can get implicit crit chance implicit on them, I will able to cap 100%. The next problem is inevitable judgment. Only way I can kind of compensate for this node is basically try to get as much DPS as possible. So right now I have 63 million. This is more than enough. The target is like around 50 to 60, so I do able to achieve that one. And how I achieve all the damage is basically first using Adorn, and there is a lot of place where I can, like this one is not even a good magic jewel for Adorn, so there's a room for more DPS. One of the way I can get a lot of DPS is using Perandus pack, and this is the advantage of having Scion, because we have easy access to the middle section over here. And basically this Perandus pack, if my math is correct, this is basically have 31 nodes that going to get a benefit from Perandus pack. That's mean 31 times 6 is 186% and fire damage. And this is why I have this fire damage not on the custom modifier over here, because Perandus pack doesn't work in PoB. So I have to manually add it over here. Another one is using a node like this. Basically penetrate fire damage, and also the most important one is the mastery, elemental mastery over here, which basically 25% chance we're going to treat the enemy elemental resistance as inverted, because this is also using Adorn. So the tree look like this because this is Adorn setup. We're trying to get access to as much socket as possible. So this is the tree that I end up with. When I try to open the fourth socket, I end up losing DPS, so I'm never really able to make this one happen. So this is the best tree that I can find for now. And another note for DPS is also Timeless Jewel. You will need Timeless Jewel on this one, because it's not just about the damage, but it's also about strength. And every stat here is very, very tight, so you really need the Timeless Jewel over here. In this one, I kind of get a double damage, so this is at a lot of damage, but you don't necessarily need the double damage. You can go for like maximum life or fist taken as fire. They're going to make you a lot more tankier than this. So that's about the Timeless Jewel. And for the cluster, it's the same cluster, Sadis and Prismatic Heart. The only thing different is one cluster over here. I'm taking during the lessons, and this is because I want the elemental damage list as life. This is just another form of recovery. That's about that. And for the defensive layer, I'm using spell suppressions, come from the gear. I have suppressions on the boots, and suppression from the glove, bunch of suppression on the tattoo, and I'm choose to use Lucky, because without Lucky I'm at 75%. That's a way to do it, basically using this mastery over here. It give 15%, and you're at 90%, and you can craft 10% from the shields. But I decided to just not go with it because it require me to kind of work around a little bit more, so it's getting too complicated, and I just decided, like, I know Lucky is fine. I try with Lucky suppression. So far I don't have a problem with it. This build is not immortal, so I want to point this one out too. This build in terms of defense is not immortal, but for me personally, the defensive layer is way more than enough. So this is the reason why I'm just using Lucky, and this is basically, so far it just worked fine. And I don't know, for defense is I'm using Melting of the Flesh. This is how I can get 88% max stress to all of them. How I get the maximum lighting is first from Topaz, and this is what made Mage's Blood kind of mandatory if you want to use Melting of the Flesh. If you do not want to use Melting of the Flesh, the other option is probably Headhunter, and drop the Melting of the Flesh, and you basically rely on Headhunter for survival. But for the setup, I'm using Mage's Blood, and this make the Topaz Flask contributing quite a lot for the max rest, and I'm also running Purity of Lighting. Right now, I'm at 88, and this is because I haven't done the craft on the glove. I should have the +2 socket of level AoE gem. If I can get the +2, if I put one more level here, I'm at 89%. And another note for defense is also on the chest. I'm using lightning coil. This is basically convert 50% of physical damage to lightning damage. The important part for the implicit is taking 50% reduce extra damage from critical strike. And this is, I'm also tattooing a few over here, reduce extra damage from critical strike. And this is the reason why I'm going a lot of this one, because there is a map mod basically that make the monster have more critical strike multiplier. And if you do T17 way back to basic, they basically hit like a truck, especially if you're talking about like mid-sec. And this is the reason why I'm going this route, because I do farm mid-sec before, and I have a problem with mid-sec where some of them, when they have a modifier that increases the critical strike multiplier, they hit really hard. So reduce extra damage from crit, basically try to mitigate that mod. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it for the build. The only difference probably I will say if between the Scion and Inquisitor is I do not exactly need to run edge butter like I mentioned earlier, so I can run mod like less defense, I can run mod like less recovery, cannot regen, because the recovery is coming from Lich and instant Lich. So that's probably one advantage that the Scion setup have over Inquisitor. So the next stage is, so the next segment will be more crafting, so let's get into that one. So number one is the weapon. This is how I will approach the weapon. I will find a triple fracture mod like this, depending on whether you use Yoke of Suffering. I'm personally using Defiance of Destiny, so I don't have Yoke of Suffering. So I need to figure out a way how I gonna get my shock. And the way I'm gonna get the shock is basically using Rod here and try to annul the other mod, so you basically only have one mod here. And if you using Yoke of Suffering, what you're going to do is you're going to use Rage, and it's going to give a damage penalty at 8% fire resistance. So the next step is basically trying to you crafted anything that do not related to the fail modifier. And this is just to fill up the prefixes, basically using fail chaos, and you're really praying that you're going to hit the crafted modifier. If you do not hit this one, you repeat the same process again with crafting using essences. But basically you're just trying to use a fail mod like this until you hit the crafted mod. And after that, what you need to do is crafted fist damage to block. This is going to block all the fist damage from the fail mod. After this, you basically just trying to unveil fire damage ignite this one. We get it first right here, but I can assure you, if I can show you multiple times, it's not that easy to hit it. So this is the reason why I'm not bothering to craft the weapon or most of my gear, because it's really hard to hit the fail mode. So basically, after you get the fail mode over here, what you need to do is just basically craft hit cannot be evaded. And you're basically done. This is how the weapon is done. And the next one is the shield. And the shield, for me, I'm searching for fire damage and fire resistant fracture. I think a lot of people made this one. There's a graveyard craft for this one, but I do not know anything about the graveyard system, so I won't talk about that one. So what I did is I usually buy the base like this. What I do is using Essence of Greed and basically spamming this until you get maximum lightning resistance. And it does take a while to hit. It's not that easy to hit, but also grid is not expensive. So you can basically just keep spamming until, I think I hit it on this one. Yeah, basically until you hit maximum lightning like this. I will cheat a little bit here, basically spamming grid essence until you find, where is it? Maximum lightning resistance. And for me, I want tier 3. So this is the stuff after the essences, and you will try to annul off the other suffixes. If you get suffix like earlier, you will try to annul off the suffixes. And when you have the free suffixes, basically what I did is I will craft double damage, and then basically YOLO slam. I mean, whatever I get, I don't really care about the third prefix. If you can get like good energy shield, that's probably helpful for the EB. Or even if you're not using EP, having more energy is always better. So that's how you craft the shield. So for the glove, the base that I'm using is the base with Temple Mod Fracture, This is like around 20 to 25 div. I don't know what the price right now, but when I buy it, I think it's around 25 div. And what you're going to do is basically, and if you do not want to use this kind of bases, if you try to starting out, just find a fracture cold resistance, or fracture any resistance, or fracture spell suppression. You also can use it. So basically the idea is when you have one of the suffix fracture, you use envy to guarantee the chaos rest, and you're trying to hit, in this case is spell suppression, but if you using the base with spell suppressions, you will try to find a T1 resistance, something like that. Another note for the base is you want at least item level 85 if you try to hit the spell suppression, because the T1 spell suppression you need item level 85. So basically spamming essences until you get the spell suppressions, which going to take a while. This process is quite expensive, but yeah, that's the only way to do it. It's pretty hard to hit the spell suppressions because of the base that I'm using, evasion and energy shield, and this is because I need the energy shield, so there's not that much choice on that part. So yeah, basically just spamming essences until you get T1 suppression like this. And after you're done with the suffix, in my case I get T1 T2 life, I think, and then I just crafted basically AoE socket gems, and I'm just call it a day. But if you want to go through with this, basically what you're trying to do is you're going to use Eldritch crafting. We're going to use Chaos, Exalted, or Null, and basically with this one you want Searing Extra Dominant. So in this one, let's say that you have this one, we're gonna put like greater, like a bigger implicit on the red one. So you want the red one to be dominant. So the idea is basically trying to hit T1 life. This is 3 life. Let's say that you're okay with this one. Your craft suffix is gonna be changed. You use Asling and you pray that it hit the suffix is gonna be changed. If you hit the life like this, what I will do, I will try to exalt slam, and if I get the life back, then I will proceed. But yeah, you get the idea. So let me get the life back. Hit the life over here. So what you need to do is basically Asling until you hit the suffix gonna be changed. And after you hit this one, what you're going to do is craft the conversions. I think this is the biggest weighting. Let me check. Yeah, this is 2000s, and basically at this point, what you're trying to unveil is area of effect and +2 AoE. So you just basically keep doing this again and again until you get +2 AoE, and then you can craft on the last one. I think the last one craft is basically damage while leeching, and you craft damage while leeching like this, and this is basically done. The next one is the ring. For the ring, what you need is a base with fracture power charges, minimum 2 power charges, and you make it rare. And how you get this one is basically spamming Essence of Scorn until you get T1 resistance. And like this, you get a T1 resistance, and basically you can change the resistance to any resistance that you need. And with this one, your suffix is basically done. And the next one is on the prefix. What you're going to do is craft suffix gonna be changed. Basically scour it to remove all your prefix, and suffix is gonna be changed again. And we're going into Reforged Life, and you pray that you get good life modifier. In my case, I do get T1, so that's great. But if you just Reforged Life until you get maximum life, any tier that you want, and the last step is basically to craft minus mana cost over here. For the last prefix, what I did is just exalt slam it and get whatever I get. So that's about the ring. And the last one is the boots. And for the boots, this craft is a big pain. So what you need to do is basically spamming Essence of Envy until you hit spell suppressions on the suffix. It's pretty hard to hit the spell suppressions because the base is evasion and energy shield. So one thing I will suggest is, if you hit the T2 suppressions, just settle with it, because the odds to hit a T1 suppression is pretty hard. So as you can see, it's not easy to hit the spell suppressions, but the idea is if you can hit the suppressions like T2 over here, the goal is you want 2 prefix and 2 suffixes, and this is the part where it's really difficult. Let's say that you only have one suffixes. What you're going to do, let's say that you have 3 suffixes and 1 prefixes. What you're going to do is doing piece crafting, suffix to prefix, and you really pray that you're going to hit the mod that you do not want. So this is the ideal that you want. You have 2 prefix and you have 2 suffix. And the next one, what you need to do is basically just craft any prefix. Doesn't really matter what it is. Let's try to craft movement speed. This is just basically to fill up all the prefix, and this is the reason why you need 2 prefix. So after you do this one, the next one you need to do is Crusader Slam. And this is where the pain began. You basically slam and you hope for T1 cooldown recovery. So if you slam, you get T1 like this, you're happy. You can move on. If you hit something like this, you basically have to begin from scratch. And this is why crafting the boots is a pain. So personally, I do not want to go to all of this, but let's say that you go to it, you get the T1 cooldown recovery rate. The next thing what you're going to do is suffix is going to be changed. Scour if you have the prefix, anything just to clean the prefix up. But after you clean your prefixes, what you need to do is Osling. You need to craft mana. I think the block is mana. And craft mana over here, and basically you try to unveil movement speed, and you craft life, and then for the last prefix you just YOLO exhaust slam, and you got whatever you got. And that's about the boots. And for me, for the boots, I buy the boots. I do not want to go through all this process because the first process is very painful. So, and this is all the craft that I know about DD, and this is how I get all my gears. I mean, except the boots and the weapon. Boots and weapon is pretty hard to do, but the glove, the shield, and the ring is pretty easy as long as you can get the bases. And yeah, that's it about the video. Thank you everyone for watching. If you like the video, please consider like and subscribe. That will help the channel a lot. And I'll see you in the next one.